Just wait. Just like calm down.
Hey everybody, before we get started, as you guys start to hop onto the Zoom meeting, we're gonna have you guys start signing in with the chat. So if you can just put your name in the chat so Maddie can take attendance later, we can get your point a little bit faster.
Oh, let's change my name. Shit.
Okay, so while everybody keeps funneling in, I just want to remind everyone, if you didn't hear earlier, we're going to start taking attendance by you guys putting your name in the chat so Maddie can find it easier. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Tonight we have Callie Rost back again to talk with us. I know she talked with us last semester. And then we also have the College of Veterinary Medicine ambassadors to also talk with us. So I will turn it over to them and we'll listen to what they have to say tonight, okay? Hi, Dr. Rost.
Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you all. I'm glad you're all here. I thought what we would do, I have just a short little presentation that I wanted to do real quick, just with kind of just a little information. And then we do have several ambassadors on the call that I thought maybe it'd be helpful if you all had any questions for current vet med students that you could ask them. And just real quick before I get started, if Hannah Johnson, I know I saw her earlier.
I'm here.
There's Hannah. I just wanted Hannah to get a chance to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. I am the recruitment coordinator at the College of Veterinary Medicine. So I work closely with Dr. Ross in the admissions office and closely with our ambassador team as well. So I am excited to get to work with all of you as you are preparing to apply to vet school.
All right. Thanks, Hannah. Oh, can I share my screen, Caitlin?
Yes, let me get that ready. You should be able to now.
Oh yeah.
All righty. I know you guys kind of know our history, but it's great to know that we are the 6th oldest vet school in the United States. And one of the very popular things about K-State is we're a non-tracking curriculum. So everybody learns about every major species, everybody practices on every major species. So it's a very well-rounded education, broad set of clinical skills for graduation. We'll go through a few other things here. That first year is really learning everything normal. Second year is learning everything abnormal and how to diagnose it and how to treat it. Third year is clinical skills, surgery. Some of our ambassadors might be able to talk about that tonight. And then fourth year is finally getting into clinical rotations. One great thing, fairly new within our curriculum, is clinical skills. And so students are in clinical skills courses every semester leading up to that third and fourth year, which really has led to great success in those courses. Students already know how to draw blood and put in an IV catheter and do a physical exam. So that's not part of their instruction during that third year. They're just perfecting those skills. And then that fourth year leading into the hospital, this is really what everybody looks forward to, putting all those first 3 years together, getting over to that hospital, getting to work with those board certified specialists, having the option of many elective rotations during that fourth year as well. So it's what everybody looks forward to, really. If you have a special interest, we likely have a club that fits that interest. And if we don't, students are welcome to start their own clubs. We just had a new avian club started this year. So we have a very popular and large exotics club, but somebody wanted a specific avian club. And so that was supported. We do have two full-time counselors within the College of Veterinary Medicine. They put on wellness programs. I'd love for the ambassadors to talk to you about several of those. We also have a house program. So we do have 6 different houses. Think Harry Potter type house system. Students are sorted during their first year. Faculty and staff are also sorted into houses. This year's been a little tough. We've had to do everything virtually, but we've still tried to really have something go on every month. So hopefully next year we'll get back to a little more normal. We have an awesome IT team at the vet school. Every student has the same laptop, and our IT team, they have loaner laptops if we need them, but I've heard a lot of students say that they really have never had to use a loaner because the IT team usually fixes their computer really right away. We do have career development opportunities, so working on resumes, interview skills, and then we do have a career fair that we offer every fall. And this year, all 4 years, we're able to participate in that job fair. So whether students were looking for a summer internship or a job, they were able to meet with practitioners and clinicians. As you all know, there are a lot of opportunities following graduation, very wide range of career opportunities in veterinary medicine. You never know where that DVM will take you, so lots of opportunities out there. Preparing to apply. So this is one thing I kind of wanted to cover in detail. So we do look at several different GPAs. The science GPA is based only on our prerequisite list. A required last 45 credit hour GPA, and right now that is based on your undergraduate hours. And a few things about the GPA. If you do have any retakes, those are averaged. If you have taken a higher level course, you can substitute that for a course. So for example, if you've taken principles of biology and are struggling with that or did not get the grade you really wanted, and then you've taken a higher level biology course, you can use that higher level biology course to fulfill the principles of biology requirement. That is something new in our kind of evaluation of applications. So we have tried to make that pretty clear to advisors. So hopefully they've shared that with you, or will once you have your meetings with them. Spending some time with a veterinarian is very important. Getting in with several different types of veterinarians or veterinary practices would be beneficial. And really the purpose of that is to just get broad knowledge of the profession. It's not necessarily to build on your skills. So if you're not getting those hands-on skills, that's okay. But we do want you working together with that veterinarian or with the veterinary technician or nurse, learning about that practice. So we look at both the quantity, so how many hours you've spent. We also look at the quality. What did you actually do while you're there? So make sure when you're filling out your application that you fill in the details about those experiences. Extracurricular activities are also very important. So being involved in the pre-vet club is a great one. But anything you have done really for the last 8 years, we want you to put that on your application. Establish contacts for references and letter recommendations. So make sure you spend enough time with a veterinarian that they know you and that you have participated, you've asked questions and had some conversations with those veterinarians so they can write that reference letter for you. I would recommend using the Career Center, going through some mock interviews. This year we did Zoom interviews, and I'm assuming next year we might still have to have that as an option. So it's a little bit of a different type of interview. So practicing that will help you be successful during that interview. Like I said, complete that VMCAS in full. Put your details on your application. That is the only way really as a pre-screening that we know what you've done, what you've been involved in. So please make sure that you complete that thoroughly. So the overall application review, 60% of the application is academic evaluation and 11% is the application evaluation. And that's really the beginning to look at those experiences. Those two things together, so your academic evaluation and your experience section on the VMCAS application, that is what determines interview invitation. After the invitation goes out, that is when the in-depth application review occurs before the interview. And that's the remainder of those points for the application score. I think you all know our undergraduate requirements. I'm sure you're working towards completing those. And some important dates for this year. So the VMCAS application opened on the 21st. And what you can do right now on the VMCAS then is all of those experiences. You can get your transcripts sent. You can, well, if they're up to date, I guess you might want to wait until later in the cycle if you have spring courses. So, but you can get at least those requests in, requests to your evaluators. So all the basic VMCAS application materials you can be working on right now if you're applying this cycle. May 12th is when the K-State supplemental application opens, as well as the K-State section on the VMCAS application. I will tell you the essays have changed this year. So rather than having the 3 VMCAS essays, the only question that VMCAS is posting is really just a personal statement. So you can be working on that personal statement, not be worrying about the other 3 essays. K-State will have some separate essay questions for you to fill out. And then September 15th is the deadline for the VMCAS, the supplemental application, and we are again requiring the CASPER this year for application. So those 3 things. I just got the list today for dates, so we haven't even published it yet, but August 11th is probably going to be the last day that applicants can take the CASPER assessment for this cycle. And then January 2022 is when we will plan to have our next round of interviews. So comes around quicker than than you realize. If anybody wants to come for a visit or have a one-on-one with an admissions rep and go on a tour with an ambassador or visit with an ambassador, you can visit our website under the admissions and schedule a visit. And you can put in kind of a request for that, and then we'll get that scheduled for you. We generally have kind of the conversation with an admissions rep at either 11:30 or 1, and a tour from noon to 1. So we'd welcome anybody who wants a chat. We are happy to do that. Right now, in-person visits are pretty limited, and in-person visits are not touring the hospital. So you really get a more thorough tour if you do that virtually right now. And then our contact information here, please get in touch with us if you have any questions or any concerns, anything we can help you with. That's what we're there for. So please don't be afraid to ask. Okay, were there any, I saw some questions come through. I wasn't sure if they were questions for me or just people checking in. Were there any questions?
I believe it's just people checking in for now.
Okay, good. All right, well, and so we have some ambassadors on the call. I don't know if you guys want to turn your cameras on and introduce yourselves real quick and what classes you're in, and then take some questions.
Hey everyone, my name is Brooke. I'm a first year. I moved here from Kentucky, but I grew up military, so I've really lived all over. I'm interested in doing pathology research, stuff like that. So happy to be here.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm John. I'm a second year, and my interest is mixed animal practice, focused on food animal after I graduate.
My name is Levi Jackson. I'm a second year from Texas. I'm interested in mixed animal medicine, and then I'll be doing Army veterinary medicine.
I'm Katie. I'm a first year at K-State, and I'm mostly interested in small animal medicine.
Hey, I'm Andrew Haight. I'm a first year. I'm interested in potentially doing ophthalmology specialization, but also mixed animal.
Hi, everybody. I'm Peyton. I'm a second year from Dallas. I don't really know what I'm interested in because it literally changes day by day based on what I'm learning and doing. But I like small animal, mixed animal, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'm from Dallas. Do you guys have any questions for us at all? You can shout them out, type them in the chat. But you've got kind of a variety of us here able to answer those for you. I guess we could kind of talk about why we chose K-State. Okay, I'm seeing some nods, perfect. So I went to undergrad at Iowa State University, which, as some of you may know, also has a veterinary program. I applied to a couple different schools and was accepted to other ones, but ultimately, as my interview experience that led me here to K-State. We just have such a great community here. And I know that's true about main campus, but that continues on to the little kind of community at the vet school. The faculty are really great about making sure that students are understanding what we're learning, and they're committed to helping us understand even outside of the lecture hall and the lab. And so I really got that feeling for my interview, talking with the faculty, talking with the ambassadors. So I had a great time, and really it was just, you know, it felt like home coming here at a K-State and interviewing. So that's pretty much why I chose K-State.
I feel like I had a really similar experience. K-State was definitely at the top of my list when I came to interview, but I wasn't like, you know, diehard set on it. You know, going into the interview, I was kind of like, okay, well, if I get in everywhere, I'll have to look at stuff. And then leaving my interview, I was talking on the phone with my mom, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this is all I care about. Like I have to get in here. Like I'm meant to go here. Like, it was really important to me to find a place where I felt like I would be cared for professionally, of course, and grow professionally, but also personally. I've always really enjoyed like being involved in my community and community outreach, and like I've loved having my professors know me. I went to kind of a smaller undergrad. And I just knew, you know, after meeting the faculty and meeting some ambassadors during my interview process, that I would get that here at K-State. Yeah, and there's just a lot of opportunities here, and I really like it.
I guess I can jump on real quick. I think I'm the only ambassador here that went to K-State as an undergrad. So I decided I wanted to come to K-State out of high school. I was part of the early admission program that K-State has, but I looked because there's some other schools that do that, and K-State was definitely my top choice when it came to those early admission programs. I was first introduced to K-State when my oldest brother interviewed for vet school up here, and I fell in love with it and started looking at different ways that I could explore and come up here as a student myself. And I found out about the program and was fortunate enough to get accepted into it. And then I did animal science all through undergrad, and I've never, looked back. I've loved every second of being up here, and I've been here in Kansas about 6 years now. I'm from Texas originally, and so it's been a great time. You guys have already made a great decision being here as undergrad students.
I guess I can talk. So I'm originally from Auburn, Alabama. Kind of like Peyton, I had a program of my own at Auburn. But when I visited Kansas, there was definitely something very different about it that was just such a positive family kind of feeling. I definitely felt that at Auburn too, but interviewing at quite a few different schools, I actually had gotten accommodations. I just got diagnosed and had accommodations. 22 years old. I had one semester left of college, and it had definitely shown on some of my grades. But I had a really good last semester, and when I interviewed at Kansas State, it was not an elephant in the room. It was very much like, hey, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We have a great accommodations office down here. It's right in the basement. We have our own area for testing center, and they also have the great counseling service. So there was a lot of tools and a family idea of like, you're not in this alone. You are here with everyone else, and you are equal as everyone else. Because that's a big stigma I think a lot of people have with accommodations is you feel bad asking for help. And so many of us are type A, want to be everything, like the best. But Kansas State never made me feel bad for any of that, and always was super welcoming. And so that was a big reason why I chose to come here, because I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I have always been happy with the decision I've made, and I love it here.
I didn't really know much about K-State before the application cycle. It was kind of, being from Texas, is in that circle range closest to home, but still other vet schools looking at. I really fell in love with it, as a lot of people did during the interview weekend. I came up here and it felt like home. They picked you up from the airport. They took you to a hotel. It was the most welcoming visit ever. It just felt like a family. Between looking here at A&M, they're both great vet schools, but it felt like home here. The ambassadors, the professors, and even once we got here, that interview experience stayed. It wasn't just a show. I said, some of my classmates in the short time very quickly became some of my best friends ever. So it's home. I don't look back on anything.
I think for me, not to like beat a dead horse here, but same thing, interview weekend was just like really what I was looking for, I think, in a vet school. I didn't really know what I was looking for until I came to K-State. I interviewed a couple other places that I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, but K-State was just way different. So after leaving, I definitely knew that I was really hoping to get in here. And then I guess something that, something different, I guess, that other people didn't say was just the facilities that K-State has. I really liked the upgrades and the renovations that they did and are continuing to do. I thought that was really just nice that we have nice study spaces, and then also they're all very like practical, so like with students in mind. So the downdraft tables in the anatomy lab and certain things like that just really felt very student focused rather than just like making it look pretty, which it also looks pretty. So that was something I was really excited about compared to a couple of the other schools that I had been to. It just was a really nice atmosphere, people, and then also facilities.
And to jump to the question that's put in the chat, it says about how many hours are you guys studying outside of labs and lectures? I can't count that high. No, it depends on the week, depends on what exam you have that week, how you feel about it, how far you might have accidentally gotten behind from studying the week before. Dean Rost would never do that. No, it typically, it could be between 4 and 6 hours a day outside of class, sometimes less, but
Yes,
everyone's
I mean,
different.
first year, yeah, it kind of depends on your studying too. Like I know for gross anatomy, that's kind of like pure memorization. So for me, that just took a lot of time in the lab outside of class. When we had practicals coming up, there'd be times where I was in the lab until like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. That's not all the time, obviously, that's not sustainable. So I think in general, just kind of depends on the week, like Levi said, and depends on the class, but also how you study. Some people I know have classmates who gross anatomy comes super easy to them and they don't really have to study outside of class, which I don't know how that's possible, but and then, you know, physiology or something that's a little bit more like system based is harder for some people. So it really just kind of depends.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends, like they said, week to week. Just personally for me, one of like my goal this semester, because I got pretty behind last semester and I'm determined not to do that again, is I try to go to campus about 8 to 6 every day. And then I come home and take a break until like 8. And then I study till like 11 and then like watch Netflix before bed or whatever. So that's kind of my routine. Every day, do I actually do that? Like, no. Most days, do I do that? Yes. So there are going to be days where you just need to be a person and you need a break, and that's fine. Like, that's part of learning to juggle it all. But for me, that's kind of my normal Monday through Friday. I give myself mornings on the weekends, and then afternoons, I usually study probably about 5-6 hours a day on the weekends. So.
With COVID, how has that affected like your labs and such, like in person versus being online?
I can answer that. That's a great question, and it definitely depends on your year. So I can kind of speak a little bit from the second year perspective, but the administration at the College of Vet Med has done a really great job of making sure that students still have all of the hands-on opportunities that we need to make sure we're understanding the material, because while you can talk about how to place an intravenous catheter, like you could talk around in circles, but until you actually like place one in a patient or in a, you know, in a model, it's going to be hard to really do. So we're making sure everything is socially distanced and following CDC guidelines, but essentially your labs and those crucial hands-on experiences are split to where you have maybe a clinical skills class for I think it's like 2 hours once a week, and then you kind of rotate where, you know, there's only a fourth of our class in at any one time. And then our like systemic pathology, parasitology last semester, all of our ology courses with labs all did similar situations where half of us would go into lab and then the other half would Zoom in. So if we were talking about cases, we could still collaborate via Zoom and get those questions answered that way. And then for lectures, for the most part, a lot of people that at least I've heard watch them virtually. So the professor will be lecturing live and you still have the option to go in on your designated day. So again, we're still split up into those groups. So group A can go in on Monday, maybe B on Wednesday, and then C on Friday. But you still can watch the live lecture that's happening just virtually. I think it's pretty similar for the other classes, but obviously our labs differ. So it kind of differs on the unique situations for them. But like I said, they've done a great job in making sure we still have access to the building 24/7 because it is a really crucial study space for us to kind of you know, be able to focus, but also, you know, use the lab spaces and whatnot. But it's different, but it's, you know, I found it kind of nice because I can watch lecture at 8 a.m. in bed or in my pajamas and not have to crawl out in the cold.
So it looks like we just got a question and it says, do you have any advice for recently accepted students? So kind of and other ambassadors feel free to chime in, kind of at this point. So you're already in your last semester if you've recently been accepted. So you're not going to change courses or anything like that you're taking. The vet school does a great job at getting you ready and preparing you ahead of time, as far as like they'll send you emails of anything that's required to have when you come into school. Like Dr. Ross touched on earlier, you get provided the laptop, so you don't have to worry about technology in that aspect. As far as clothes, I know that's something that comes up quite a bit. The best advice I heard was dress like you might want to meet your future employer. So like if you're mixed practice like I am, I generally wear a polo or a button down and blue jeans or slacks every day. Some people go more or less dressed up. Right now, a lot of us are using it as an opportunity to be more dressed up because it's the only days we're leaving our house right now. So that's kind of fun. But as far as like coming in, there's not honestly a lot that you have to do to prepare. There's a good, and I don't know if Dr. Sparks will offer this, but our gross anatomy teacher did like a summer anatomy prep course. And if you're kind of itching to get going, that's a good way to get your feet wet and get kind of focused in the mindset of school before you get started. But teachers, at K-State, I mean, they know and they're prepared to teach you from those 64 prerequisite hours that we have here at K-State. So there's not some sort of extra knowledge or something like that you have to have in order to succeed when you're over here at the school.
I'd like to add that when I was first accepted, you listen to all of these panels and stuff. And one student mentioned that summer before you go into vet school, like really take time to do what you love. And, you're already in, so you don't need to focus on getting those hours. Obviously, if you love working at your local clinic, totally do that. If they're going to pay you to do that, even better. But take time to like read a book and relax, because in all honesty, the next 4 years is like running through veterinary medicine, and then it's like veterinary medicine is your life. So like enjoy the time of being just like a person, because summers, breaks, you're still trying to find ways to get externships, or honestly reviewing anatomy like we did this past winter break in order for a radiology class. So like you have breaks, but they're really not breaks anymore. So really enjoy that last summer and do what you love. Don't worry about needing to get more experiences, because you'll have plenty of time in vet school to do that.
That was going to be my advice as well. Just enjoy your last semester. I think this past summer was the best summer because I'm in vet school and I get all the pride of saying I'm in vet school, but I don't have to do the work of vet school. So just enjoy it, spend time with your family, and just do what you love. So are you required to use the laptop that's provided to you? No, you aren't. I personally prefer to use an iPad, so I use that, but they do come preloaded with like the OneNote books. So that's a huge benefit a lot of people opt to do, because with OneNote, the IT department and Miss Gina, who's amazing, will get everything you need for your courses, and they just basically go on your computer and then you have everything you need already downloaded. A big thing about K-State is we, try to be as paper-free as we can. They don't like to make us have to buy those big textbooks and haul them around. So that's a big benefit of the laptop. And they'll have all the software on it you need for classes too.
I wanted to say real quick too, we do provide, we create a Facebook page just for your class as well. So you'll have the opportunity to meet other people within your class. And a lot of people find places to live that way or that kind of thing, just to meet each other before classes start. And I also just wanted to say to this group, because I see a lot of very familiar names, is that this application cycle, at least with the Kansas group, was extremely competitive. We had more applicants than I think probably ever from the state of Kansas, and very exceptional people. So if you're on the alternate list for Kansas, please don't feel bad. It was very, very competitive. So I just wanted to say that because I know that you all know each other and probably talk a lot about it. And I am happy to do application reviews if anybody wants to have a chat about their application if it wasn't successful this cycle. So please let me know that. What did you have on your application? Maybe you guys want to answer that. What you think made you unique?
I'm gonna say different for everyone, I think, but the school really wants to see you be a well-rounded individual. GPA is not everything. I don't you need a good GPA. Don't get me wrong here. But I was definitely not a 4.0 student. So my thing, I did Army ROTC, and so balancing that in the leadership roles, play intramural sports, be a human, go volunteer, do fun stuff, have leadership roles in non-vet med things. Just make sure you're an actual human being. Have fun, make yourself well-rounded.
I'd say too, just like make sure you don't leave anything blank on the VMCAS and then also on the supplemental K-State application. Just make sure that nothing's blank, even if it's like really small. Like I know for me, I didn't have a lot of research experience, and so I was kind of worried about that. But I found, a couple of things that I had done that I could kind of put in the research category, so at least it wasn't blank. I also had to apply twice. I did not get in my first round. I did not apply to K-State in my first round. But I think definitely I wasn't exactly expecting to get in. I knew that I had just done poorly in OChem and stuff like that. So I applied again during my senior year of undergrad that summer. And then I had a gap year there because of the long process of that. But I worked for a clinic that I'd worked for previously as like a head tech for full time for a year. And I think that kind of helped me a little bit. Also, just the fact that I had graduated and I was a little bit more of like an older, mature student, I maybe think that helped me a little bit. But just being yourself and I think in your interviews and things like that really helped too.
I remember, okay, I think mine's working. Yeah. I remember with my application, and kind of what went into my interview, a big thing that I talked about was I did SGA. I had a lot of clinic hours, but kind of bouncing off of what Levi said, my GPA wasn't the best. It was not a 4.0. It was above a 3.0 and it was in that range. But I think the big things that made me stand out was research. I did a wildlife degree. And so I worked with black bears and I worked with deer. So it wasn't food animal or animal science stuff that you would usually see. And it was something that I could talk about that maybe they hadn't heard before. Obviously, if you're an animal science person, that's also really strong because I've got to work with cows for the first time. And man, that is different. But it's also a case where, what Levi said about intramural sports, I did track and field, and I never thought that would play into a strength of vet school, but, having scheduling ability and saying, okay, I had to somehow work around this. Those things play into it too. But also if you had to remediate a class or you had to go back and take something again, don't be afraid to talk about that, because sometimes talking to a teacher and saying I made a D the first time, but I went back and made an A, it can kind of show growth and talk about how you are kind of owning up to those mistakes, or not mistakes, but that situation that was a hardship and how you learned from it. Because a big thing about vet school too is when you get in, you have to be able to kind of adapt and you're not going to always be successful with everything, and you kind of have to be able to get back up on your feet and keep going. And that's really important. And they really like to see that.
I've got a question real quick. I just wanted to know from a student perspective, how do professors and doctors at Kansas State help contribute to your success? Because I know that just as a pre-vet student, whenever I go into surgery, the technicians and doctors there are so helpful. They go over the x-rays with me. They go over all the different fractures and they talk through the surgery with me. And I feel like that has helped me tremendously just as a pre-vet student. So I'm wondering what kinds of things they do when you are a vet student to contribute to success.
Yeah, we have amazing faculty. I think that's a big reason why a lot of us ended up here, is just getting to know the faculty during interviews. Some examples would be this semester, of course, we do gross anatomy during COVID time, so we didn't get the full hours of assigned lab time. And after our first practical, the faculty basically asked, you did really well, but they were like, what can we do to help you? We want feedback. And the main feedback they got was, hey, we know we can come into the lab anytime 24/7, but it would be really helpful to have times outside a lab where we would know a professor would be there, where if we have questions, they're right there. And they were like, okay, say no more. And within like a day, they had made a Google Sheets, and faculty were signing up to be in the lab at specific times, and they were letting us sign up to be there. And like, we're not just talking like weekdays, we're talking like Saturday mornings. So that meant a lot to me because it really showed that they want to see us succeed and they're willing, you know, to step up and take their personal time to help us succeed. Their offices are always open. I know of faculty that made special anatomy study sessions for students who were struggling, to really help them prepare for a practical. I know of a girl who emailed Dr. Carpenter, who's the exotics vet, and she was like, hey, like, I think I might be interested in exotics. Like, are there any opportunities? Like, I know it's COVID, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh yeah, meet me like tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to the zoo. And the next morning she was pulling blood off flamingos. So the faculty are willing to go way above and beyond to help. Do you often have to kind of reach out and let them know you need help? Yes. But I can't imagine, you know, I would feel comfortable going up to any of our faculty members and being like, hey, I want to learn more about what you do, or hey, I need help. I feel like they're always just excited to help you learn.
So also, I guess, tag teaming on that, as students, you're assigned mentorship groups when you come in there, and they're interest-based. That's dependent on kind of what you said you wanted to do when you came into school. So, you know, that is always subject to change. But those faculty members that are in your mentorship groups are points of contact if you're struggling or need help with anything. You know, they're great resources. Also, Dr. Ross mentioned the clubs earlier. That's a big way that a lot of the faculty help out with. Every single club that we have, of like the over 30 different clubs, has a faculty mentor who advises the club. And then within that, on top of that, we have predominantly, I would say, the number of speakers that come in are from the hospital or faculty research, whatever club it might be. And they'll come in and speak. And like Brooke said, you know, they'll give you opportunities or different experiences, different ways for you to get involved. There's student worker positions over at the hospital that you can get involved with, and clinicians are always willing to explain what's going on when you're over there, much like if you're in a clinic, it is a teaching hospital. And I would say that anybody who doesn't like teaching isn't over there. So, you know, they want to help, and they want to make sure that you learn. So you'll get a lot of good opportunities.
So housing wise, how many of you guys live close enough to walk, or do most of you prefer to drive? Are you guys like fighting over like parking spots, or would like Jardine be a better option so that you can just like walk over?
There's plenty of parking spaces. I guess last year during COVID, as long as you were there like 10 minutes before class, you'll find something. If you came in right at class time, you might have to park in like the second parking lot, but even then it's not even a 3 or 4 minute walk into the actual building. I do live close enough where I can walk to the school. I typically either ride my bike or drive. This morning for the first class, I rode my bike and then decided it was too cold to bike back in the afternoon. But most live relatively close enough, I would say.
I live, I would say, like far from the vet school, but by far I mean like 7 minutes. So, you know, I actually kind of like being a little a ways away from the vet school, because I can kind of, I mean, with COVID and school being in my apartment, it's a little bit more difficult to do this, but I can delineate home from the vet school, you know, where home's where I get to, you know, take breaks and relax. And then vet school is where I do school. So I drive my car. With COVID, it's especially easy to get parking spaces because only a third of your class is there any day. But like Levi said, it's not bad by any means. And I'm sure as a K-State student, you know, there's tons of affordable housing all around Manhattan. And as long as you can get to school for your 4th year within about 15 minutes for those on-call shifts, you're pretty much good. So, I mean, if Jardine works for you, amazing, do it. You could walk to school. If not, driving is totally a good option. So, and I know the first year has put together a super amazing sheet of housing options. And then reviews from current students, and it has stuff about how much utilities cost at their specific complex, how far away they are from school, what the management company is like. So for those of you that were accepted, and for those who are applying later on and get accepted, that will hopefully continue to be a thing. And I used it to find my current apartment, and it was super helpful. So if you're thinking about moving, or if you're on campus now and wanting to get off campus, that's a really good resource.
So I had a question about what did you guys think was the best way to document the experiences you were already like collecting over time? Like, did you use like an Excel sheet, or did you write it somewhere else, or how specific were you, just so that you're ready for when you need to apply, that you don't miss anything?
I personally
I started writing like a long time ago in composition notebooks, but I always lost those. And so I switched to Excel sheets, and it, for the most part, worked a lot better. At first I wrote more, but the more years I did it, I started just writing what I learned new. I try to find at least one new thing I learned every day, or if I got the chance to observe a more unusual surgery or procedure, write down those. But the Excel sheet worked great for me. Other people I know filled up notebooks of notebooks, but
I think it's definitely smart to write it down somewhere, especially because like when you get to the VMCAS, they will ask you to be fairly specific on like what your experience was, how many hours it was, the dates approximately between when you were working there or whatever experience it is, and then like who was supervising you at the time, or if it was like a veterinarian or a boss or something like that. So I didn't write it down anywhere. So that was really fun, like tracking all that information down. I had to use like, I was trying to be super specific. So I used like pay stubs and like different things to like figure out hours. But yeah, I would recommend writing it down, even if it's just something general as like, you know, this is the day I started at that clinic, and this was who was supervising me most of the time. And, you know, I worked about this many hours for this many weeks or whatever. I think that that'd be really smart, and it would help you in the long run be a little bit more efficient on your applications.
I know one new thing on the VMCAS application this year, I believe applicants are going to be able to kind of tag their top 5 experiences in each of those sections to really kind of call attention to those certain experiences that they feel are unique, or maybe make them stand out a little more for something you did during those experiences. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind this cycle.
How did you all prepare financially for vet school?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have jobs throughout undergrad. So that helped pay some of my undergrad. And then, you know, as I was getting up, you know, in the years, I started to instead, make a savings account, because you can take out subsidized loans in undergrad where you can't in grad school. So I had a little bit of a savings account when I came in, which ended up being crucial when it came to, like, I moved, you know, cross country by myself. My parents live in Germany, so it cost me a bunch of money to move and put down your deposit and, you know, do all kinds of stuff like that that you just don't kind of think about. So that definitely helped. But for most of us, I think we pretty much use loans to pay for it, and it sucks, but it's just kind of the reality of being in vet school. There are definitely scholarships. I know K-State has a lot of scholarships, and most people that apply for it get something. There are other opportunities too, like I'm sure Levi will talk about the program he's in, that he's using to help pay. I'm lucky enough to have a GI Bill, so that'll pay for about half of my education, and then after that I'll be all loans. But as far as preparing financially, you know, of course it's always a good idea to have a job and get a savings. It'll always be good to have a cushion, but for the majority of it, it's student loans.
as Brooke mentioned, I sold my soul to the Army. No, there's a Army scholarship. It's competitive, but you can put in for it. And so if you get it, they pay for the last 3 years of your vet school, as well as a decent monthly stipend. And on the flip side of that, you then serve as a Army veterinarian for 4 years. And so it's nothing crazy in the Army. It's just your job as a vet. And after that, you can either stay in longer and make a career out of the Army, or just take your free 4 years and walk away. But that's the route I went.
I know for me, being out of state, whenever I go home, I'll usually work at the clinic back home. And I have like a separate bank account where I'm just putting all the money I make from when I was an undergrad and while I'm in vet school into that, just for kind of pay off vet school with this money eventually, hopefully. But also, if you are interested in like rural practice, if you're interested in teaching or doing a specialization, look into, I think it's still everything should be good, but look into like the 10-year forgiveness plan that you can do like government work. And there's a lot of different avenues that can kind of go. And I feel like Dr. Ross would probably know more about that than me. But we have, I think, 4 to 5 every year for the rural scholarship that they get a portion paid of theirs, of their tuition. And I know talking to them, they all really love just having that chance to do that as well. But definitely a savings account is a good thing. But if you're using the FAFSA money, just be smart about your spending. And hopefully you don't have to, because you don't have to spend all of it. I think I live with 3 vet students, and I think I pay $345 a month. And so I think the estimate that they give is around $700 for rent every month. And so you can definitely make like chip away here and there, which will make you feel better, at least mentally, before you look at the total bill.
I think if nobody else has any other questions, I think that might be it. Unless there's some stragglers. No? Okay. Well, thank you guys, Dr. Rost, all of the ambassadors. Thank you for coming out and talking to us. I know a lot of us really enjoy having our answers our questions answered, I should say. So thank you for coming out and talking to us again this semester. We're going to go ahead and do our club meeting details. But thank you for coming out, and we will, I'm sure most of us will get in contact with you for other questions as well.
Sounds good. Thank you. It was good to see you all.
Thank you.
I went and put our emails. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me.
Brooke put hers in there too, I see. And so
yes, and I will, for all of the members, I will copy all of these emails and put them into our group chat or email them out later.
Thanks for letting us take some of y'all's time.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with everything.
Thank
Bye, good
you.
luck.
Thank you guys. And also, I guess kind of as a thing too, we said a lot of stuff that might be daunting. Absolutely remember that this is my favorite time, and I think everyone else would say it. This is an awesome experience, and I love vet school. And it's definitely a weird time right now with everything COVID, but keep your heads up. If this is what you guys want to do, it's what you want to do, and keep pushing forward with that dream. So
just like an Andrew, it's hard, but it's
worth it.
It's the best time I've ever had.
Yeah,
I love it. You make some of your best friends, and some of the best memories. So work hard, you'll be fine.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. So yeah, hope everyone enjoyed that. I'm gonna, like I said, take the emails that they put in the chat tonight, and I'll copy them some way, somehow, either email them out or put them in the group me. But right now, also I'm recording this meeting. So if you need to refer back to it, like if you heard something and you just want to like listen to it again, it'll be on the YouTube channel like the previous meetings have been on. But for right now, we're going to go ahead, get started on the officer reports really fast. I just want to go over all of the changes that we made last semester, but I want to reiterate them again for this semester about active member status. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Let me make sure. All right, there's Maddie. Yep. All right, so Tristan, I'll have you start off, and then we will go through all of the officers.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So, shirts are finally being designed. COVID's really kind of screwed the pooch on that one. But I'm working with a new company with a very nice lady or young lady, and we'll be voting on shirts in about a week.
Hey guys, just a couple things. If you are new to the club and have not paid your dues or have only paid the $15 for the first semester, this semester's dues will also be $15. You can Venmo it to me at that Venmo right there. And if you paid the $20 last semester, this doesn't have to apply to you. And then there should be a second slide. Yep. We now have a Google spreadsheet that you guys are going to be able to check to see if you've paid dues and like points and stuff. It's not entirely up to date with some points, but I think a lot of it is there. And if there's anything that like is really old and you know about it, just message me. Like if your dues aren't showing up or something, just again, message me.
Hey guys, okay, so last semester we sold masks, and so if you would like to buy one, you can either contact me or Trinity on GroupMe for more information about those masks. I will send out another picture in the GroupMe later tonight and more information about them if you would like to purchase one. And then just remember, to be considered an active member of Pre-Vet Club, you need 4 points total for the year. It can be from any combo of like fundraising, social, etc. As well as like if you do buy a mask, that will get you 1 point added to your total.
Hey guys, just so you guys know, next meeting we will have Deanna Gerber from Iowa State come, and she's just like a recruitment coordinator, and she'll talk about admissions and basically some of the same stuff that Dr. Ross talked about just for Iowa State.
Hi, so we had the Australian Zoo Zoom call. It's going to be scheduled for sometime this semester. They're just now getting off of their summer break. So once I get the date officially set, I will send it out in the GroupMe as soon as I can figure that out. So that's it.
Jamie was texting me during the meeting, and she was having some technical difficulties getting in, but I know what she's talking about. So for this semester, just to get some more activity and participation with our social media and kind of make you guys feel like you have some part in it, we're asking that if you want to send in like pictures of your pets, animal activities that you've ever done. We've also interested in doing like bios of you guys, so like future veterinarians, kind of like the ones that the vet school does, but for pre-vet. If you guys want to like send in pictures of yourself and do a bio, we can do like feature you guys. If not, you can also do like a bio of your pet and be like, for instance, I would send in a picture of my dog and be like, this is Meatball, he's an English bulldog. He is lazy 99.9% of the time, and then he has zoomies that 0.01% of the time. Just something like that, just so we can get some more engagement on our social media. If you guys don't have us on social media, I can ask Jamie to link it and link our Instagram and our Facebook on the group me later. So yeah, we just kind of want to get some more engagement in that and have a little bit more fun with that this semester. Okay, any like administration club questions that you guys have for this semester?
Really quick. I'm the community service chair and I just forgot to get the slide together. Sorry about that. But we are getting together a date to volunteer with Hope Ranch. We're thinking March 20th. And so not 100% sure what we would be doing yet, but that would probably include like grooming the horses and washing them as well. Still working on the details about that and maybe doing more than one date depending on how that one goes. And also about the points sheet, we haven't updated the community service part of it very much. And like, okay, so Weston, I have not been able to edit that. So just don't freak out if you don't see your community service points in there. We will get it done. We will definitely get there. So yeah, that's all I got.
I did forget to mention one slightly big thing. We don't have a social events chair still. If any of you would like to become the social events officer, please let me know. Kind of the same thing as last year when we were getting officers hired on. Send me a bio of how you think you would be a good officer and specifically for that position. Essentially what you would do, actually, I will let Tristan explain it because he has been the social events chair for 2 years in the past. So I'll let him explain that.
So social events chair is kind of going to be hard with COVID. But a lot of the things that I did were planning like Halloween parties where we would paint pumpkins. That was a reoccurring one. The bowling nights, pretty much planning events that aren't focused around school work or any other work. You know, you just kind of meet up with the club and have a chill time. So that's kind of what that is about.
Yeah, so if you decide you guys want to, if any of you want to do it, you are all eligible to do it since you've been in the club obviously for at least one semester now. And even if you haven't, just let me know. The officers will take a vote on whether we think your application is good or not. But yeah, so essentially what you'll do is you'll make events for the club so that we can all meet. That's not academic based, that's not fundraising based, but just ways that you club members and us officers can all connect with each other in a less formal fashion so that we can get to know all of you and learn about your lives a little bit because obviously we're on Zoom and we don't get to see you guys. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that, email me. If you guys are in the group me, you can also message me there if you guys are interested in that. So yeah, I believe that is it. Any questions, comments, concerns for now? Okay, don't forget, I just saw someone direct message me. Don't forget, if you haven't already, sign in with your name to the group into the chat real quick so that Maddie can take your attendance for later. Like I said, if you don't do that and you need to somehow get your point for attendance, just watch the video or just comment on the YouTube video later that you watched it, and we'll get you that point. But yeah, so if you haven't done that already, go ahead and do that. And yeah, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. If any of you are interested in doing the officer thing, let me know. We're having our second officer meeting this coming week. If you guys are interested in it, you guys are always welcome to join us at any time while we talk about the happenings of the group. So yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks and adios.